Welcome to Essential EGL+Batch. In this series, we feature EGL Development Tools version 0.8. Today's lesson is all about dates. This is lesson 4. So let's take a look at the code that we're going to end up with at the end of lesson 4. We have two things that we're going to build. One is the lesson 4 program, and we've seen this before in this series. It's a program called lesson 4 with its usual function called main. That's where all the action starts. And then main is going to call the demo function inside the date library. So let's take a look at the date library. Its package is lab.lesson4. It's definitely a library. The main function here, it's not a main function, but the public function here is called demo. That's where all the action starts. And then we have a function called goOnDate. To mark the beginning and end of the goOnDate function, we use the batchlib start function and end function. The display date is called multiple times. It formats a given date. We'll get more into that in detail in a little bit. To set today's date, we'll use a date type. And what we'll do first is we will create the necessary package for lesson 4. So we right-click on a package and do New Package. We've seen this several times in the series. And it's lab.lesson04. Now for this lesson, what I'm going to do is copy the source code and then paste it in under the package for the EGL program project. Oops, I'm going to paste it in. Now let's take a look at what we have. We have the lesson 4 program and the date lib library. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do is use the right click and open on selection. So if we put our cursor in a function name and then right click and open on selection, it'll actually show us the source code. And that's even if the source code is in another package. And I'd like to also demonstrate this too, because with nested functions, functions calling other functions, you can kind of get lost. But there is a back button that takes you back to where you called where you used the open on function. And there's also a forward button. So we can go all the way back to main, and we can go all the way forward to where we were in the start function. So you can basically go back to where you called the open on selection. Or if you make some modification, the back button will go to where you last modified something. So let's talk about getting today's date. The default is the date type, and then the open curly braces and close curly braces initialize the date to today. So that's how we get today's date. And then display date will actually display that given date in two formats. So it accepts a date, and then the date is read-only inside this function. The first format, which is actually under string lib in 0.8.2, the string lib actually has a bunch of different types that are allowed to use with the format command. So the format function is overloaded now. Instead of having different names for the format function based on type. And the result of a format is a string, so we can print it out on the console. And here we'll format the date a little bit differently. So every time we call this function, it's going to format the given date twice and then print it out on the console. And we go back to where we were in the goOnDate function. Now, to set a date to a specific date, we use this construct here of the date variable is equal to something. So it has to be in this format in order to be to set a date. And you can do this like we have here. We've literally hard-coded it, but this could be a value out of a database. And of course, the start and end function will show us where the goOnDate function has been called. So that's all there is to the demo function. So let's run this program and see what we get. Let's see. We want to right-click, run as EGL Java main application. And let's take a look at the console. So this is lesson 4 output. This is the start of the goOnDate function. And then display date is called. This is the date displayed in that format. Let's take a look at that formatting string. So it's YYYY for the 4-digit year, capital M for the 2-digit month, and DD for the day. So you can put that in any order, and then you can put different literals in there so that you can format the date as you choose. Or you can have no literals at all, and it'll come out just as a number, a bunch of digits. So the second date was 11/11/11. The third date was 12/12/12. This has been another lesson in Essential EGL Batch. Thanks for watching.